Hello everyone, my name is Blackheart, and today I'm going to be reading you a short horror story called Fear of the Dog. This is a story I wrote back in 2017, and I hope you all enjoy. John was seemingly a fearless man, healthy, strong, tall, and capable to knock out other men with a single punch. It came to no surprise considering his profession, a lumberjack. However, what his friends didn't know about him was that ever since he was a boy, John feared the dog. It was not the darkness of the night itself that scared him, but rather the feeling that something was watching him from the darkness. Whenever he was alone at night or in a dark place, that feeling would come over him. Something was watching him. He wasn't sure why, but it filled him with dread. The truck stopped near the tall block of flats. John thanked his colleagues for the ride home, shoved his hands into his pockets, and started looking for his keys. He took the stairs up to his flat on the 9th floor. He turned the key in the lock, opened the door, but didn't go inside. He stared into the darkness that had settled into his apartment. It felt strange. It felt like somebody was in his apartment, hiding in the darkness and staring at him. He shut the door and locked it, then made his way to the bar across the street, hoping that when he got back, whatever it was would be gone. Leaving the bar at midnight, he crossed the empty street and stumbled up the steps to find the front door locked. He remembered it being past midnight and cursed under his breath for taking too long to get back. The front door was always locked by the caretaker to prevent vandalism and the homeless or drug addicts sneaking in to sleep under the stairs. Each resident had a back door key. The narrow street that led to the back door was dark. The only light was a dim exit sign above the entrance door. John walked up to the white metallic fence that separated him from the entrance and tried to unlock the padlock on the gate. As he was fumbling with the small key, he heard footsteps behind him. He thought it was another resident returning and turned around to ask for help with the lock. The small street between two houses was empty, yet he unmistakably heard footsteps coming his way. The only thing between John and the street lamp was just two-step wide area of darkness. With a speed unimaginable for a drunken man, he unlocked the gate and shut it behind him, ran up to the back door, and entered the well-lit hallway. He entered his apartment and turned on the lights in the hall before shutting the door. Good, he thought to himself. The strange feeling was gone. His home felt like his own again. The light in every room were turned on, except for the living room. The light switch was on the far wall of the room, closer to the bedroom door, but far away from the kitchen and the hallway where he now stood, staring into the dark room. He told himself, "It will be fine." He had a strange feeling whenever darkness was around. He thought back to the footsteps he heard in the alley. Feeling that something is near and hearing disembodied footsteps were very different things. But right now he was tired and slightly drunk. Even he had trouble believing his own credibility on anything. Slowly, careful not to trip on anything, he made his way to the switch and flipped it. In that part of the second after the switch is flipped, but before the light floods the room, he felt it clear as day. Something was in the room with him. Something was behind him. Something put a hand on his shoulder. The light was on. John stood there paralyzed, cold sweat running down his back. Without looking back, he darted into his bedroom, turned on the light, and jumped under the covers. "It's gonna be fine," he told himself. Larry lit a cigarette. It had been a long day of searching. 3 days ago his colleague John didn't turn up for work. He didn't pick up his phone, he didn't answer the door. When the caretaker opened the apartment with a spare key, it was empty. No one had ever seen or heard of anything about the man that lived there. There were no living relatives to contact. No one he could have gone to. Larry and many others helped out with the search, but they found nothing. Now it was getting dark. He blew out a cloud of smoke into the darkness. Suddenly, a chill ran through his body. Something was watching him. The man looked around, but all he saw were the dark silhouettes of trees and lights of the lampposts in the distance. Something touched his shoulder, and Larry jumped. He turned around. Standing behind him was none other than John. He looked different, more pale, had dark circles under his eyes. His dark clothing seemed to blend in with the darkness around him. "Where have you been?" he asked. "Everybody's out looking for you." "I've always been right here," he said. "Tell them not to worry." There was something strange in his voice. It almost didn't sound like John. "Are you all right?" "Never been better. You know, the strangest thing happened. I was terrified of the dark ever since I was a kid. My dad was a drunk, and he used to lock me up in a dark storage room while he beat my mother. One day, he beat her so hard she died. That's terrible. I've never told anyone about this," he said. "So the next day, while he was passed out, tied him up, put him in the same closet, and then I ran as fast and as far as I could, afraid that what would happen if he woke up and got out of it. But he never did. He had a heart attack in his sleep. No one could hear him scream in the closet. No one could help him. He died tied up in a dark place. A place that I put him in." Larry wasn't sure what to say. "The dark is not so bad once you get used to it," John said. He was walking away. Then he paused. "Tell him I did it to myself." "Will you tell him that?" "Sure," Larry said, not certain what he meant by that. "Don't worry. I'll stick around here for a bit. Take care now." "You too," Larry said. The next day they found John. His body floated up the small river outside of town. He was tied with ropes, and Larry remembered the story John had told him in the park, and then the realization hit. According to the police reports, John had been dead for 4 days when they found him. Larry turned his eyes away from the article and looked into the shadowy hallway leading out of his kitchen, and a feeling came over him that someone was there. Someone was looking at him from the darkness. Never before had he felt any kind of fear towards the dark. After that moment he felt cold and mortified. He recalled the conversation he had with John at the park. He could almost see him in the shadows of the hall. But as soon as that feeling came, it passed. But Larry never felt the same about being in dark places. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, leave a like, subscribe, or comment.